Hi everyone. So I want to introduce the whole concept of mindful disciplining. So we just finished a challenge, finishing up a challenge about mindful parenting. And for those of you who have signed up, I think a lot of parents have been asking me about discipline. So I want to really start getting into that. And what I will be doing is this is going to be a series of 3 videos where we will talk about mindful disciplining and the approaches to that and what it means and some practical things that you can do. And then later at the end, after the 3 videos, for those of you that want to continue further on with me one-on-one, I will be offering consultations in a little program. But let's not get into that right now. What I want to look at is what is mindful disciplining. So the term mindfulness has been coming up a lot. It's kind of like the the new Q word that's been coming up. And I see it even in the medical profession. Actually, even doctors start talking about, becoming more mindful, teaching our children to become mindful. So really about being in the moment. And from a medical point of view, it's more for stress reduction, anxiety reduction, and just overall wellness. So I think the world is really feeling that need for mindfulness, really being able to take the time to slow down and really being in the moment. And that's going to go hand in hand with parenting as well. So the confusion is coming with, okay, and this I get a lot. How do I become a mindful parent and a conscious parent and practice positive parenting? But then discipline comes in, and where do I draw the line? What do we do? How do we do it? How do we implement some kind of discipline in the family, but at the same time becoming mindful? So I think the shift, we see it in the universe. The universe is shifting to, a higher consciousness, higher awareness. And I think as parents as well, the same thing is happening. And it's important to go with the times. So we see a lot that, we're no longer in the authoritarian kind of parenting. There's not that linear, kind of parenting going on where the parents are the authority and the children have to, abide by rules and be obedient. We're really shifting into a more circular kind of parenting where we have to realize that first and foremost, being a parent is having a relationship with your child. And you don't want that relationship to only be or to be overshadowed by taking disciplinary actions on your children or looking at them as, when are they acting, behaving nicely or when they're not, and when do I have to implement the rules and when do I not, really taking that approach is not what we want. I think there's a much broader look at parenting, which is really about helping them shape behavior and do it with a relationship. And you don't want to do it at the expense of a relationship. I've heard many, many times parents tell me, and I see it also on Facebook and all sorts of social media, we were spanked as kids, and I turned out okay, and personally I was spanked as a child and I did turn out okay, that's true. But at the same time, I feel that it comes at the expense of the relationship with that parent. I think that as a parent, I would want to be able to create order and love and discipline in a family, but I wouldn't want to do it through fear, but rather through motivation, right? How do I motivate my child to do the right thing? So at the end of the day, I think what we always need to realize is that parenting a child is not telling them what's right, what's wrong, and do, and you have to do. When I'm around, you act a certain way, and then, when we're not around, they test the rules. It's really about teaching a child eventually how to self-parent. And that's the key. So I want to take you through this journey of what is mindful disciplining, but I want you to realize that it's really about shaping behavior, and it's definitely not about about allowing your children to get away with everything and saying yes to everything that they want. That's really not it. That's not mindful. That's not spiritual. That's not what I mean by that. Mindfulness in terms of disciplining is really looking at the relationship with your child first and shaping and molding their behavior into the, into the behaviors that we want them to have as adults, so that they can be the best version of themselves, and not disciplining from a place of control where you want them to listen because you're the authority. There's definitely authority that needs to be implemented in the home, and there needs to be, that's definitely something that they have to abide by, but that's not the whole picture, right? There's a much greater picture there, and that is of the relationship with your child, right? And motivating them to self-parent. So I want to teach you some important concepts so that you can implement and shift into that mindful kind of parenting and mindful disciplining in your own home. So like I said before, this is going to be a series of 3 videos. And after that, whoever wants to work more closely with me, I will offer something at the end of that. But with the 3 videos themselves, I think that I will provide you with enough information to really make a tremendous shift in your home and in your parenting style. I think it's about increasing our awareness and shifting from a fear-based kind of parenting into one that allows for self-actualization. So let's dive right into it with the first lesson. Lesson number 1 is children are our mirrors, right? And I can't say this enough to parents. So because they are our mirrors, whatever they reflect to us, if we don't like it and we want to change that reflection, we actually need to change ourselves. And I know a lot of people have a really hard time with hearing that. Parents tell me this all the time, but they're the ones who say no. They're the ones who are having the tough time. They're the ones, the children. They're the ones that need to make the change. They're the ones yelling. They're the ones misbehaving. Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying no to that. But if you want to really see a shift in your child, the change must come from you as a parent. They will change. They will. You don't have to worry about that. That shift will come. But it truly, truly comes from changing yourself. When we look in the mirror, if we don't like what we see, we don't say, oh, throw away the mirror, let's change the mirror. I'll have a better reflection with a different mirror. You know that if you don't like something, you change that. And then when you look in the mirror, the reflection changes. Exact same thing with children. Children are our reflection. So this is where parents have a really, really hard time accepting this concept. But trust me, if you make the change, your children will change too. And truly, the real changes will come from you changing first. Because if you don't do it that way and that you expect to make the changes in your children first, it'll all be patchwork only. You'll always be in that fighting battle the whole time. That's not true change. The true change will come if you as a parent are able to make changes. Once you change, that reflection will change, and it will change long term. And that's what you want. We don't want any patchwork. That's not what it's about. So this disciplining course that I'm giving you is, yes, I will give you practical things to do, but it's not about implementing, let's say, just charts and things like that without truly understanding the concept that goes behind the whole idea of this mindful parenting. Mindful parenting and positive parenting does not work for people that don't put in place certain things, right? I have a lot of parents that tell me, oh, I do this, and that, but you know what? At the end of the day, once I threaten them, that's the best way that it works, right? But there has to be a breakdown. There's a reason why the child needs to first hear a threat before they listen to what you're doing. And I guarantee you that there is a breakdown that comes from the parent always. I see this every single day. And it's not to blame. It's really not to blame. The good news is actually is you don't need to depend on your child to be able to make a true change in your home and the atmosphere of your home. This empowers parents to truly change the relationship they have with their child and change the atmosphere in their home, because now they have the power to do it, because the change will come from you first. So this is lesson number 1. If we can get past that, I think it's probably going to take at least a week to sink in for many parents, but let's start with that. I know that it's actually a really big piece, and that's the biggest hump. Like I said, you can get past this, you will get past everything else. Everything else is a lot easier if you can realize that the change needs to come from you. So this is lesson number 1. And like I said, I will put out some more videos in the next couple of days, so look out for them. And if you enjoyed this, please share, please comment. If you think that there's anybody out there, any of your friends or family that would love to listen to practical ways to incorporate mindful disciplining in their home and mindful parenting, please go ahead and share this video, and I'll see you in a few days.